One of my gaming fantasies is to see a 2D fighter style experience ported to the VR world. I imagine it would be incredibly difficult to pull off, but seeing what ambitious developers have accomplished with classic titles like Resident Evil, both official and unofficial, leads me to believe that anything is possible. By all accounts, we still have quite a ways to go before reaching fruition on that tip. However, that has not stopped indie game developers from associating their titles with those two words that get my curious juices flowing each and every time: Street Fighter. The team behind Virtual Fighting Championship claims that some of the moves you're able to pull off during combat are reminiscent of the arcade hit that inspired a generation of gamers and imitators for years to come. Intrigue peaked to high hell. I took the dive to see what this shit is really about. Virtual Fighting Championship is a VR fighting simulator that instantly draws comparisons to Thrill of the Fight and Creed, both of which it pales to in every possible way, unfortunately. The game offers a good mix of game modes to play with, including anger management, which actually looks pretty interesting, Robot Infinity, where you duke it out against a succession of android opponents in a galactic arena environment, a training simulator, and a campaign mode. Like much of the game, the campaign mode shows a lot of promise. You can choose from like 5 or 6 different characters, each with their own fighting styles, strengths, and weaknesses. Perhaps the most interesting aspect of the story mode is how they play up the VR gaming experience. While your opponent appears to be this muscled up street brawler, before and after the fight, you see it's just a nerdy ass coworker wearing a VR headset. I thought that was pretty cool. In order to save your campaign progress, you have to register on what I hope is the developer's website. As you may know, entering login credentials in VR can be very annoying, especially if you have a long ass email address like I do. Now, the developer claims that this is a one-time deal, but that wasn't the case for me. I could never pick up where I left off with the campaign, and after about a week or two, I noticed that I was no longer signed in. I'm not sure if the progress issue was related to me being signed out initially, but yeah, that part kind of fucking sucked. So what about the meat? The crown jewel of the gameplay? You know, the actual fighting. Well, that's really where this will fall short for me personally. The fighting mechanics just felt hella clunky, janky as the kids from my day would say, to the point where it's hard to tell what sort of impact you're making. Take the campaign for example. The first fighter comes at you like Scrappy Doo on meth. Sometimes I take him out fairly easily, other times this nigga's giving me the business. The hit mechanics just seem very inconsistent, to say the least. That frustration carries over into Robot Infinity. One minute I'm touching up these android suckers like Mayweather, the next I'm done for them. Like I can't even tell if I got one-shotted, where I fucked up, so on and so forth. It's very frustrating. Now this review may seem a tad harsh, but that's okay. My expectations were tempered to begin with. I came in understanding that this was an App Lab game still in development. Right out of the gate, I had a feeling that it wouldn't make my regular rotation, but I decided to stick with it and not opt for a refund. I see the potential, and with an extra coat or 3 of polish, some refined mechanics, perhaps a slate of standard difficulty options, and more straightforward instructions on how to actually thrive at this shit, it could one day be realized in full. There's more than enough room in this space for virtual fighting championship to exist. But with front runners like Thriller the Fight and Creed setting the bar so incredibly high, would-be contenders definitely have to bring their A game in order to compete. Peace.